So I welcome the opportunity to speak on the topic of autism and disability assessments and supports today, and I want to thank the Labour Party for bringing this motion forward. I mean, all 91 Children's Disability Network teams are up and running since 2021. I mean, the establishment of these teams was part of the reconfiguration of children's disability services, and the aim was to ensure fairer access and clearer pathways to assessments and therapies for children and young people with autism or a disability. I mean, these aims are simply not being met, and we are failing children and young people who need timely and appropriate assessments and therapies. I mean, the numbers waiting for an initial contact from their CDNT demonstrates this. There's over 17,000 children and young people waiting in total, almost 11,000 of those waiting over 12 months. Now, the latest CDNT staff census and workforce review reveals that the staff vacancy rate has risen from an average of 28% in 2021 to 34% in 2022. There were 707 posts vacant across the 91 Children's Disability Network teams. Some teams have vacancy rates of over 60%, one team 68%. I know in Cavan, my own county, it's 41% and Monaghan 47%. And in fact, Cavan has worsened since that census was done, and we're about to lose our only speech and language therapist in the coming weeks. I mean, in February this year, we engaged at the Autism Committee with some of the organisations representing therapists involved in the CDNT, so the Psychological Society of Ireland, the Irish Association of Speech and Language Therapists and the Association of Occupational Therapists. And I was shocked to hear from these organisations that although they'd requested meetings to discuss the best way forward in the implementation of the Children's Disability Network teams, they were never and still have not been, to my knowledge, facilitated in this regard by the Department of Health or the HSE. Now, turning a deaf ear to those on the front line who are delivering the assessments and the therapies is most definitely not the way to ensure the CDNTs are fit for purpose and delivering for children and young people with autism or disabilities. Meaningful consultation should have taken place with these organisations well in advance of the reconfiguration, and they should now take place without further delay and should include representatives from the HSE Disability National Clinical Programme, HSE Operations and HSE Resourcing. I mean, Sinn Féin brought forward a number of motions in 2022 relating to children's disability services, and each of these called on the government to put in place a comprehensive workforce plan to train, recruit and retain CDNT staff. And this plan was to be completed at the end of Q1 of 2023. Now, I know, Minister, you've said your roadmap is imminent, so I'm just wondering, have the organisations representing therapists been consulted in this process? And does it progress delivery of the terms and conditions for Section 39 workers? And has it looked at the issue of career pathways for staff? I mean, the programme for government has a commitment to extend the remit of the National Treatment Purchase Plan to secure timely assessment for both child and adult psychological services. This commitment has not been delivered. I know in a letter to me you said the joint waiting list initiative has been used to source assessment, and I welcome that. But I think we need to use every possible avenue to ensure urgent access to AON and to services. I mean, I'm hearing from families who are receiving service plans outlining the services that their child requires after the AON has been carried out with no service date. So, you know, they can't even give them a date. It's that far ahead in the future. And I'm just wondering, we have a lot of people coming into this country from Ukraine in particular and other countries. Has a skill set been established of those people? Have we done, you know, and found out what the skills? Many of them might be qualified in the areas that we need within the CNDTs, and maybe with a little bit of work, you know, if their qualifications need a little bit more to meet the qualifications required here, they could work in those CNDTs. I don't think that's been done. The Disability Act of 2005 was specifically designed to advance participation of disabled people in society, both by improving access to mainstream public services and supporting the provision of specialist service where required. Now, given the developments within the Irish landscape since its enactment, such as the adoption of the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, a review of the Act should be undertaken to update it to encompass a rights-based approach to disability. I mean, that's been expressed by the National Disability Authority. Many disability groups have made similar calls, and several committees, including the Committee for Children, Disability, Equality, Integration and Youth, the Disability Matters Committee, the Autism Committee, have all called for that Act to be reviewed. And could and should have taken place in tandem with the review of the EPSIN Act of 2004. Now, those pieces of legislation were originally drafted to operate in a joined-up way, and this needs to be reflected in any reviews. So Sinn Féin have committed to our previous alternative budgets to develop and implement an autism plan and a new carer strategy as priorities, and we will do that. Thank you.